The hum of the Rolls-Royce Trent engines was a familiar comfort to the 245 souls aboard Air India Flight AI171, departing London for Ahmedabad. As the Dreamliner taxied down the runway, passengers settled in for the long overnight journey, some chatting quietly, others already drifting into sleep, trusting in the routine of modern air travel. The flight was uneventful for hours, cruising high above the clouds, until, without warning, a violent shudder ripped through the fuselage. Overhead bins rattled, and startled passengers were jolted awake, confusion and fear spreading rapidly through the cabin. Suddenly, the left engine's steady roar faded into an eerie silence. Cockpit alarms blared, red lights flashing as the Dreamliner began an uncontrolled descent. In the cockpit, the pilots fought desperately to regain control, their voices tense as they radioed for help. Far below, Ahmedabad was just waking up to a new day. The city's early risers went about their routines, completely unaware of the disaster unfolding in the skies above. At 6:15 a.m., news broke. AI171 had crashed just short of the runway, sending a towering plume of black smoke into the dawn sky. Emergency vehicles raced to the scene, their sirens piercing the morning calm. Inside the airport, families' excitement and anticipation turned instantly to horror as the flight board flickered from expected to contact airline. Panic and disbelief swept through the arrivals hall as loved ones desperately sought information. Airline staff moved quickly, ushering distraught relatives away from the glare of news cameras. Grim reports began to circulate, suggesting that there were few, if any, survivors from the crash. The story of AI171 was no longer about a journey's end, but a tragedy radiating from the smoldering wreckage. Rescue workers and investigators combed through the debris, searching for answers amid the devastation. The world held its breath, watching live coverage and waiting for answers. News of the crash spread rapidly, uniting strangers in shock and sorrow across continents. For those left behind, the morning's hope had turned to heartbreak. The loss would echo far beyond the runway, leaving families and a nation searching for solace in the aftermath of tragedy. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a symbol of modern aviation, was designed for safety and efficiency. Yet, its history is marked by technical issues and production delays, casting shadows over its reputation. Boeing, still recovering from the 737 MAX crisis, now faces renewed scrutiny. Air India too suffers a heavy blow as shares in both companies tumble. For travelers, the crash plants a seed of doubt. Is the Dreamliner truly safe? The incident is not just a human tragedy, but a financial and reputational crisis for the industry. Trust, once shaken, is hard to restore. Survivors described a sudden, deafening bang from the left side of the aircraft, followed by violent shaking that rattled every passenger to their core. Panic swept through the cabin as oxygen masks dropped and the world outside the windows blurred. The plane entered a steep, terrifying drop, sending belongings and people tumbling as the crew fought desperately to regain control. First responders rushed to the scene, pulling a handful of survivors from the twisted wreckage. Their shaken accounts pointed to a catastrophic failure that left little time to react. The DGCA quickly secured the black boxes, urging patience and caution as the painstaking investigation began, knowing these devices held crucial answers. Eyewitnesses on the ground reported seeing flames erupting from the left engine and the plane wobbling uncontrollably before its final devastating impact. A blurry, haunting video surfaced, showing thick smoke trailing from the left wing, lending weight to theories of a sudden, catastrophic event in mid-air. Now, investigators sift through the debris and analyze every scrap of data, searching for the elusive cause behind the disaster. Was it a catastrophic engine failure, a sudden structural collapse, or perhaps something even more unexpected? The truth for now lies buried deep within the wreckage, waiting to be uncovered. News of the crash sent shockwaves across India and the world, leaving millions stunned and heartbroken. The tragedy dominated headlines, with people everywhere struggling to process the enormity of the loss. Leaders from across the political spectrum expressed deep sorrow, and a day of mourning was declared in Gujarat. Vigils and memorials sprang up in cities and towns as communities came together to grieve. Media coverage was relentless, with haunting images of twisted wreckage and grieving families dominating screens. Reporters provided constant updates, capturing the nation's collective heartbreak. Social media exploded with grief, prayers, and demands for accountability. Hashtags trended worldwide as people shared memories, condolences, and calls for justice. Amid heartfelt condolences, misinformation and anger spread rapidly, fueling public anxiety and heated debates both online and in the streets. Aviation experts urged patience, reminding everyone that thorough investigations take time and that answers would not come overnight. Yet, pressure mounts on Boeing and Indian authorities to prove their commitment to safety, as families and the public demand transparency and swift action. The crash is more than a tragedy. It's a test for global aviation, raising urgent questions about safety standards and oversight worldwide. The nation mourns, but also demands answers. The world is watching, waiting for truth and accountability to emerge from the tragedy. As shock fades, urgent questions remain. What caused the disaster? Mechanical failure, design flaw, or maintenance lapse? Investigators must uncover not just what failed, but why. The tragedy forces scrutiny of Boeing's safety culture and India's regulatory oversight. It's a stark reminder of the risks behind routine air travel. For families, answers bring little comfort, but the truth is owed. What lessons must we learn to keep our skies safe?